Hey everyone, and welcome back. We've had a ton of requests to cover a real classic, a movie that, even if you're not usually into dark thrillers, it seems to stick with you. That's right, we're going deep on Seven today. Not just a plot recap or review, but really trying to get at what makes this film so powerful.
Yeah, seven, it's interesting how it uses a familiar framework, the seven deadly sins, but it really gets at something much deeper about human nature, almost like a psychological puzzle box you keep turning over in your mind.
Totally. And right from the start, you get pulled in by this incredible atmosphere, this unnamed city where it seems to rain constantly. It's almost like the setting itself is a character, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. The setting is crucial. It reflects this idea of decay and corruption. Like evil isn't just this abstract thing, but it's all around, permeating everything. It's in those grimy streets and the claustrophobic apartments.
And speaking of characters, we have to talk about the detectives. Somerset, played by Morgan Freeman, of course, and Mills, played by Brad Pitt. What is it about these roles that make them so memorable?
It's their dynamic. Somerset, he's the veteran detective. He's seen it all, almost resigned to the darkness. And then you have Mills, who still has this idealism, this fire, but it also makes him so vulnerable. I think their conflict really embodies the whole struggle between hope and despair that the movie is dealing with.
And of course, we can't forget John Doe, the villain, played by Kevin Spacey.
Hmm.
But he's not your average bad guy, right? He's almost like a philosopher, albeit a very twisted one.
Yeah, exactly. Doe isn't just on some random killing spree. He sees himself on a mission, punishing those who he thinks embodies these sins. It adds a layer of complexity you don't always get in these types of films.
And then you have Tracy, played by Gwyneth Paltrow. It's a smaller role, but she plays Mills's wife.
Right, Tracy. She represents kind of the innocence, the good that gets destroyed by this darkness, almost like the price of confronting evil.
And the way each murder is structured around a specific sin. It's not just about the gore, it's symbolic too.
Yeah, that's what elevates it. Think about the gluttony victim forced to eat, or the model who's punished for her pride. It makes you think about the sins not just as religious ideas, but as human flaws we all struggle with.
It's definitely a film that sticks with you long after you've seen it.
Oh, absolutely. It's disturbing, it's thought-provoking, and it stays with you. You just can't shake it off.
There's so much more to discuss.
Yeah.
The imagery, the symbolism, the ending, which I know people are still debating to this day.
Oh, for sure. We're just getting started. There's a lot more to uncover about what makes Seven such a lasting piece of cinema. And the sound design, too. Like you said, the rain, you can almost feel the dampness seeping through the screen, but it's also the dripping water, the sirens in the distance. All of it builds this feeling of tension, like unease.
Absolutely. You are just thrown right into their world. And we have to talk about the music, too. Howard Shore's score. It's not your typical thriller music. It's so haunting,
Okay.
almost discordant, like a reflection of the turmoil that the characters are going through.
It really adds to the overall atmosphere. Like it's another character, a sonic embodiment of the darkness.
And one thing I've always found fascinating is how the two detectives' journeys kind of intersect, but also go in different directions.
Yeah.
Somerset, you know, at first he's jaded, ready for retirement, but he slowly gets pulled back in, almost like he sees a chance to guide Mills, maybe even find some redemption himself.
That's a great point. Somerset, he starts out so detached, cynical even. But as they go deeper into the case, you see glimmers of hope. Remember that scene in the library? He's surrounded by all these books looking for answers. It's like he's yearning for something, for meaning in all this chaos.
Right. And then Mills, he's the opposite, starts with all this energy and idealism, but the case just wears him down, chip, chip, chipping away at it.
You see how Doe's plan is working on him. It was always about exploiting Mills's anger, his righteousness, leading him to that final sin, wrath. It's almost like a warning about what happens when we let our emotions control us.
And that ending. In the desert.
Mm.
Wow. Talk about tension. It's not your typical good guy, bad guy showdown.
Right, it's not about catching Doe at that point. It's about the psychological torture, the impossible choice that Mills is forced to make. And the setting, too. This vast, empty desert, it emphasizes the emptiness, the spiritual wasteland that both Doe and Mills are in.
It's an ending that people still debate about. Some see it as bleak, hopeless. Others see a sliver of hope. Like maybe Somerset will carry on that idealism even if it's been tarnished. What do you think?
I think it's meant to be ambiguous. The film doesn't give you easy answers. It leaves you with this feeling of unease, makes you question what is good, what is evil, where's the line. I think that's why it sticks with you. It forces you to think, to wrestle with these ideas long after you've seen it.
And that's what makes it more than just a movie. It starts a conversation. It gets under your skin.
Absolutely. It makes you think about the darkness within us all, and that's something that's always relevant.
I know I keep coming back to this, but Doe's plan, the way he manipulates everyone, it's incredible and terrifying.
Yeah, he understands people, their weaknesses, their fears.
Yeah.
And he knows how to exploit them, how to get the reaction that he wants.
It's like some kind of social experiment, a test of morality and where the breaking point is for each person.
Like those Greek tragedies, where fate plays a role in their downfall.
Totally. And he hides behind religion and morality to justify his actions, quoting scripture, talking about the sins of the world, but it's all twisted.
Exactly. That's a key part of his character. He's not a mindless psychopath. He truly believes that he's doing the right thing, that he's an instrument of God's will, and that makes him even more frightening.
It's wild how Se7en manages to be so stylish, but also so raw and gritty. It's not just the shocking stuff, though, that definitely gets to you, but the way Fincher builds the tension. It's like a slow burn that just keeps you hooked.
The writing is phenomenal, too. Andrew Kevin Walker, he really knows how to give you just enough information to keep you guessing. And the dialogue between Somerset and Mills, it's not just about the case. It's like they're debating these big philosophical questions about good and evil,
Yeah.
About what it means to be human.
Yeah, it's like you're right there with him arguing over a cup of coffee or at a crime scene. It gives the movie so much more depth than your average thriller.
Remember that scene where Somerset tells the story about the man in the hospital? That one always gets to me. It seems like a simple story, but it really gets at the core of the film. The choices we make, the weight of despair, and whether there's any hope to be found.
Those quieter moments are what elevates Se7en beyond just a genre film. It makes you think about the world differently.
And that's why it still resonates with people today. It's more than just entertainment. It's an experience. It's like a descent into the darkest parts of ourselves. It makes you confront things that are uncomfortable about who we are and the world we live in.
We've talked about a lot, but it still feels like we've only scratched the surface. Se7en is one of those movies that you can watch over and over and still find something new.
There's always more to discover, more to talk about and debate. And that's what makes it great. It starts conversations, challenges you, and just stays with you.
If you haven't seen it, I can't recommend it enough. Just be prepared. It's dark. And for those who have, I think it's worth revisiting. Pay attention to the little things, the symbolism, the acting. I bet you'll pick up on stuff you didn't notice before.
Don't forget, Se7en isn't just a movie, it's a conversation starter. It's like a mirror, showing us the darkness and the light inside all of us.
Well, this deep dive has been a fascinating look at one of the most thought-provoking thrillers ever made. We hope you enjoyed going deep with us into the world of Se7en. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and remember, there's always something new to uncover. We'll see you next time.